So I missed a lot of talking points by not bringing up my original 2021 ranking list that I wanted to put on YouTube but was too hesitant to do so. So I can either change that now and make this video a lot more lopsided, or I could just continue on the spot and making things worse. I'll figure it out. Hello, this is J.E. Realize. I'll be talking about Eurovision 2021 again, but this time the second semifinal. So let's really get into a little bit of that, because first I wanted to mention there were two countries that were going to participate in Eurovision 2020 but didn't in 2021. First, there's Belarus, which is arguably the more interesting story, but they were supposed to be in the first semifinal. Their whole dealio was the 2020 act was not selected to advance to 2021. The television broadcaster went with someone else. The EBU said, no, you can't do that because it's too political. And they sent a different song by the same artist and different underlying messages. And yeah, just the EBU will not stand for that. Also, the Belarusian broadcaster not doing a good job of being a representative of the people, so they just straight up suspended them until 2026. As for semifinal 2, Armenia was supposed to be here, but there was a bit of a conflict going on. You know, Armenia, Azerbaijan, defected territory, all that sort of stuff. So, yeah, not as interesting. We knew this sort of conflict was going on since, the fall of the Soviet Union. Anyway, we might as well begin with the show. And first off, we get, the whole bouncing off the pop-up houses sort of stuff again before we get into the opening act, which is okay. It's okay. You got this guy dancing and it looks a little off. And then you've got this cut to a different performance, which is supposed to be in line with what was happening on stage. And like he falls through the stage or something. A bunch of other people dancing. Then he comes back. A bunch of other people dancing. That sort of stuff. And honestly, I feel like the first semifinal acts and the final acts are more interesting than the second semifinal acts. And that's for a reason. The grand final is when the general public usually tunes in to watch Eurovision. The first semifinal is the beginning of Eurovision, so people start watching that. If you enter the second semifinal without watching the first semifinal, there are probably a few reasons, one of which being your country is participating in the second semifinal. But yeah, I can see why the acts are not particularly that interesting. There's also the interval act, which I'm just gonna cover right here. You got your winners clips, you got your Eurovision tutorials, and you also got these two people performing. One of them looks like Slavko vaguely. Montenegro 2017, the other person on a bike, and a bunch of people surrounding them. It's fine. It reminds me of a very early Eurovision interval act from, I think it was 1963. It was hosted in the United Kingdom. Kind of that vibe, but not as interesting. With that out of the way, let's start this whole thing. We have the running order, and let's start with San Marino. Right away, there are a few interesting things about San Marino's act. First off, Senit has come back. You may remember her from Eurovision 2011. Except no, she's called Senhit. And on top of that, she's a queen now. She's got a lot of personality, she's got a lot of color, a lot of passion, a lot of self-identity. Really makes her stand out from that 2011 performance, which is just so-so. And then on top of that, guess who they brought to accompany Senhit? None other than American Flo Rida. Well, shoot. On the merits of the song itself, okay, it's modern, it's, kind of your standard dance number, vaguely Latin, except not really electronic either. It's just really a summer bop. But Then you throw in Flowrider, and not knocking Flowrider, because here he shows he got skill. But then I have to wonder, are they gonna qualify him because they have a good song, or are they just gonna no points them because you got an American on board? Remember Jimmy Wilson from 2017? No? Of course not. Of course you don't remember Jimmy Wilson. That's what I'm talking about. As for the song, I don't particularly care about it that much, but it would be cool to see them in the final. I cannot believe that they actually did this. Is this a sign of things to come? No, because in 2022 they never invited the United States. Oh well. American Song Contest didn't deserve to go to Eurovision that year anyway. Next up is Estonia, and we get the lucky one. You know, I want to like this song. This song has all the makings of a true classic. There's just one problem. They put the wrong singer behind this song. And I know, you gotta go in as a package deal for SD Loud, but they could have selected a better singer, and this song would have deserved to make it to the final. I felt it. I felt that the song could be winning material, but when I listened to the studio version, I could tell right away. It was auto-tune, the guy couldn't really sing. And I could really tell in the performance. Damn it, man. It's like the music was really good, it's just the singer let everything down. I am thoroughly disappointed. Really disappointed. Someone cover that song because you're going to do a lot better. Next up is Czech Republic, and they're going for the contemporary pop stuff that they've been doing for a while now. And they sent in Benny Cristo with the Frosted Tips and the song Umaga, which, okay, you didn't call your song Oh My God. Why is that particularly? Besides that, the song it's fine. It's fine for a modern hit, but I don't find it particularly stand out. And then there's the issue that I noticed in the lyrics. I felt like whoever wrote the lyrics wanted to reference the pandemic. Like, think about it if the lyrics were written like this. You blame the pandemic, that ain't no apocalypse. Except they didn't write it like that. They wrote, you blame apocalypse, which is kind of clunky. Think about that for a minute, or I guess a year, because I should have talked about this a year ago. Then we move on to Greece, represented by Stefania, which makes the act that participated for Ukraine in 2022 her sons? Okay, I have no context. Let's move on. A few notable things about Stefania, the real life OG Stefania. First off, she competed in Junior Eurovision, so she's got Eurovision experience under her belt. Okay, that's neat. Second, her outfit. Okay, I had to mention that briefly. Then there's the fact that apparently she lives in the Netherlands now. The Greek diaspora is real, guys. And finally, the green screen. That was some pretty stellar green screen. And it's a shame that the grand final didn't serve it up as well as the semifinal did. I will admit, there are quite a few dance numbers in this contest, specifically this semifinal, but this is pretty good. Not as good as some others, but this is a pretty good song. And that is a kick in performance, so long as you watch the semi-final version of it. Fifth up is Austria, and they sent in Vincent Bueno, or as I'd like to refer to him, Austrian Bruno Mars. No, he's got the look. I remember this guy from 2016 when he competed in the Austrian national final. Yes, there used to be an Austrian national final. The songs there weren't particularly up to snuff. There were a few. Vincent Bueno's song wasn't very notable besides the fact that it was kind of modern, and also he came in on a swagway. Stop calling them hoverboards. They're not hoverboards, Marty. This time he decided to serve it up a little different. Also, I remember this guy from being one of the first announced for Eurovision 2020. I told you I would bring that up. And the song we got was Amen. definitely a better Amen, in my opinion, than the one that represented Slovenia. It's got a bit of passion. Admittedly, it's a bit of a breakup song, and those have been kind of done to death, but you can feel that there is some real soul-searching in that song. I legit felt sorry for that, guys. Man, that song deserved to qualify. It's a real shame that he didn't make it to the final. Why is it that I like Austria when most people don't? At least for the past few years. Next we get Poland. And dag nab, Rafał cannot sing either. But at least in the studio version, the song was pretty competent. Here, he just doesn't really even follow the lyrics in the chorus. He just says, "Europe, make some noise!" and other stuff to that effect. And also there are these Tony Stark hands sort of stuff, and this 80s electronica feel. That's about it. Besides that, I don't particularly care about this song, and the performance is just a disservice. No. Then we get Moldova. I'm not going to talk about the writer. We'll put that aside. This song, I think, is one of my favorites of these, you know, women dance number sort of things. Like, I didn't really care much about San Marino or Serbia, as I'll talk to. And this narrowly beats out Greece. I will say the music video is super weird, but then again, it's Eurovision. The music, however, gave this aura of being a theme for a Saturday morning cartoon block. I think that's what resonated with me the most. I don't know what else really brings me to that effect, but it's just so weird how nostalgia works, isn't it? Dancing was fine, everything else was fine. In retrospect, I think I overrated the song a bit, but I still kind of like it. Next up is Iceland. And I remember these guys from the Icelandic national final all the way back in 2017. And they should have made it to Kiev in 2017. That was a kickin' song. If you haven't listened to Is This Love, this is exactly the sort of stuff that they serve. You know, that 80s synth pop sort of stuff. They didn't send them in 2017. Instead, we got... So they tried again in 2020, they got in, and they were ready to go on to Rotterdam in 2020, but the contest got cancelled. They should make a Netflix movie about this. And then finally in 2021, they were selected by the broadcaster to go ahead, go to Rotterdam. And they did make it to Rotterdam. They did the rehearsals, except just before the second semifinal, some of the team members got diagnosed with COVID and they had to go into hotel quarantine, which means that they weren't able to perform live in the second semifinal, or as they qualified for the final, the grand final either. Well, that was a dish I'm not sure if I will ever have again. Luck is not on our side this Eurovision, are you kidding me? But besides all that, I love this song. This is exactly what I would expect from these guys, and yet they still surprised me with their delivery, okay? Top marks, not quite to think about things, but they deserve to do really well. And also you have that lady that looks like Miss Frizzle from Magic School Bus. I cannot shake that image out of my head, and neither can you. And now we move on to Serbia, or as I'd like to refer to this act, LatinO'G3NE. So yeah, you got this vaguely Latin bop number, and also they've taken up to the Eurovision habit of only doing the title of the song in Spanish, even though the title of the song is in Spanish. Like, none of the other lyrics are in Spanish. Honestly, at least try. And admittedly, when I made this list, I didn't really give much respect to these guys. After Sweet Taboo showed up, I'm like, okay, it's fair. There are a few things that I admittedly kind of like. The intro, for example, really sizes these people up. I'm not sure so much about the dancing moves, as their outfits kind of distract as they dance. Not sure, but it's a fine song. But next we get Georgia. The first time I heard this song, it nearly put me to sleep. That's how drab this song was. It was just a guy there singing, but just taking his sweet, sweet time. So when you're thinking, thank God this song is over, that's not a good thing to think. So, yeah, Georgia, that was not a good move. I respect Georgia for being experimental. That doesn't mean I have to like the result. Then we move on to Albania, and they just send in a telenovela song. Also, this lady just standing there with a bodysuit and smoke coming out and just these formations. It's not very particularly engaging. If I wanted to listen to a telenovela song, I'd talk to my parents. Then we move on to Portugal, and they're doing the old-timey song route again with the song Love Is On My Side. Especially with the whole black and white thing. Okay, give you some credit. The song's actually nice and sweet sounding. I didn't put them in my top 10, but I was so really close. This is a nice, sweet song with a story. I give my props. I still would prefer Sodade over this song, but it's not bad. Then we move on to Bulgaria. I've been waiting to talk about this song for so long that you have no idea. This song is meant to be about her and her dad, and you know, this sort of stuff. The whole, my parent is aging and I can feel the changes and I don't want her or him or them to go away. But in this case, I feel like it's more suited as a millennial song. You know, you grow up with all these expectations and these goals of what you want to do in life. You're gonna conquer the world. Not literally, but you know, make a name for yourself, leave your footprint, all that sort of stuff. And then you make it to adulthood and it's just drab. Your life is almost colorless, it's routine, it's unexciting, and you just feel worn out and depressed. I got that message. I still get that message. And that's what made this song, as well as its tune that accompanied it real well. Not sure about mentioning Tetris in literally the second word of the song. Shouldn't Eurovision say something about that? They said something about Facebook and FaceTime. But getting back to it, this is what made the song my favorite out of the entire competition. Just that message that really gets to me and empathizes with me. All respect to Victoria, which I have also heard of from the early announcements of Eurovision 2020. I almost forgot to mention that. It's a real shame that she didn't do as well as I thought she deserved. Now we move on to my third favorite song of the entire competition, and that is Dark Side. And apparently there is a theme for this year's Eurovision, and that's throwing middle fingers at everyone. And there would be another song in the final that would do the same thing. And these people found different ways of getting around the fact that you're not supposed to do that on a family show. For these people, they just colored their middle fingers red. That's pretty simple. They also tried the whole subliminal messaging because it's cool thing, you know, the join signs that pop out everywhere. But that's not really what got me. The early 2000s feel. Some people would call it new metal. The music style got me. It really harkens back home, and it felt like it came from there and it embodied that timeline. That's what really got me. It's just well packaged period piece song that really also would fit for today. That's how you know your song is transcendent. And while in the case of Norway I said that was an A and B level song, in Norway's case That's a more of a gotcha song. The reason I didn't bring it up as a gotcha song is that, one, I don't know if making gotcha anime is still cool, and two, I forgot about it. But in this case, it's definitely an AMV song, much like Vislat Nyar. And the fact that no one really did this song as a AMV song on YouTube is just either I didn't look for them or they're not there. Also, Ukraine's song, while I'm mentioning that, should have really been accompanied with several Attack on Titan clips, the way that whole thing was structured. But let's get back to Finland. Real awesome song. Still love it even today. Next up we go to Latvia, which kind of missed the mark for me. Rather experimental songs need to get me somehow. This just missed last by a wide margin though, because I started to kind of appreciate the song. It's kind of odd from even a song structure standpoint. The way that the second stanza just continues, and also that graphic that hits on the second beat drop. It's a fine song. A lot of people will like it. I'm kind of on the fence regarding it. And next up we got the Subaru car commercial theme of the year, Switzerland, with the song Tu l'univers. I will give my respect to Switzerland. When was the last time they sent in a French language song? 2010? And this one is a bop. It took a while for it to hit me, but I ended up loving this song. Also, this guy can sing! This guy has vocal pipes that can shake 3 nations. And if this guy won Eurovision, I wouldn't be upset. It's a well done song. The graphics, I kind of debate over the graphics, but I think it honestly helped with the song as well. So, top marks to Switzerland. Switzerland seemed like they were finally getting on top of what Eurovision wanted. So, and finally, there's Denmark, which told the Swiss, hold my leg out. And they sent us a pure Danish language song. I can't even think of the last time this century they sent in a Danish language song. Kudos! Lots of kudos. But there are a few things I need to note about this. Like, first off, these guys looked like they were ready to grace the stage at the turn of the millennium. Like, they had those outfits and they held on to them, and they didn't realize they were aging until it was too late. Dang, man. Still, though, way to fulfill the dream. Anyone that gets onto the Eurovision stage as a competitor earns my respect, unless you don't do well on stage. These guys were fine, though. And also, the song and the graphics, to me, gave me a match game kind of feel. Yeah, that's a very dated reference, as that game show was around like in the 70s. It felt like a very 80s level song, like a lot more than Iceland or Poland. Like, it felt kind of dated, but also rather charming in its being dated. My sister said that this was a Wii Sports song, and I cannot disagree with her on that. I gotta give credit to just how bizarre this entry is in a uniquely charming way. So I think we're done. I've already talked about the interval acts, so I won't get into them. And so if you don't know who qualified, you could always look it up, or I can tell you. Like, San Marino qualified, okay, Greece qualified, Moldova qualified, Iceland qualified, Serbia qualified, Albania, Portugal, Bulgaria, Finland, and Switzerland. Finland ended up being the last to be announced, which I was waiting for them to announce Finland. When that ended up being the final announcement, I was like real excited. Yeah, I know, I'm kind of dated at heart. As for the others that didn't qualify, except for Austria, that was just a damn shame. All the other songs I'd be like, meh. But Austria not qualifying, come on guys! And as for Iceland qualifying again, this means that they get to go to the grand final And since they are not competing live, we have to watch the semifinal rehearsal again. I forgot to mention that regarding Iceland. Also, instead of them hanging out in the green room, which would be homicide at that point, they all hanged out in a big old comfy couch in the hotel room. Also, they did the same thing in the final. Just thought I could bring that up there. And two of the guys wouldn't even be on that big old comfy couch. Instead, there were these mannequins, and we got these tablets for heads. Oh, and I almost forgot. Here's my semifinal 2 rankings. As of 2021, of course. The list might have changed a bit since then. I might have moved some entries up, moved some entries down, but there it is. One show left to go. The grand final. There won't be much to talk about. You kind of know the routine from the 2022 contest, but we'll see if we can make it less than 30 minutes. Do the feedback thing, like, comment, subscribe, or dislike because of that 69 joke I did in the previous video. I want to say I didn't mean to, but follow me on Twitter at JERealize. This has been JERealize. I'll see you next time, and there will be a next time.